Here's an interesting story that I heard from a very wonderful rabbi. His name was Rabbi Nissim Mengel. He was a young child when the Holocaust began. He was taken with his father to Auschwitz, and although he was short, but he was very healthy looking, and somehow or other he passed through the selection, and he was sent together with his father to the side of the people that lived. They were ordered to remove their clothes and put on clothes of the concentration camp, but there was nothing to fit him because he was very small. But nevertheless, he put on the clothes, and when they went to the next station, so the commander there said, "What's this? What type of clothes are you wearing? They're too long. Go back to the pile and bring back your regular clothes until we find clothes that fit you." So he went back to the big pile, and there's a huge pile of clothes. And when anybody would ask him, "What are you doing here?" he said, "Commander so-and-so told me," so they left him alone. So he was looking through the pile, and he found his coat, and right next to it was his father's coat. And he put on his clothes, and he put his hand in the father's coat, and he took out, there were two bags, two small bags. One bag had a few sardines in it, and the other bag had a pair of small tefillin. Tefillin, those are the phylacteries, the Jewish people, it's a commandment, 2 commandments really. So he hid them under his coat, under his shirt, and he went back and stood next to his father, and when he was sure that nobody was watching, so he took out one of the bags and he surreptitiously gave it to his father. It happened to be the bag with the sardines in it. His father was a very clever person, and he looked and he realized these sardines could be the difference between life and death, because they already hadn't eaten for a couple of days, and there was no sign that they were going to give them in the near future. So he saw the sardines and was tremendously happy. The next opportunity that they had, so he said, "Father, I have something else." He opened up the bag, and it was a pair of tefillin, small tefillin. He said his father did everything he could not to burst out crying, to show that there was something unusual. He said he never saw such happiness. His father hid the tefillin, and afterwards, somehow or other, the word got out that there was one of the prisoners had tefillin, and every day, in fact every night, because the daytimes they were all working, so the only time they could put on tefillin was in the nighttime. And they could only put on for a couple of seconds because there was a long line that formed. And putting on these tefillin was risking the life of these prisoners. So here we see that these prisoners were put into prison, into the cons because they were Jewish. And you'd think that all they would be interested in the main thing was preserving their life. And we see that they certainly were interested in preserving their life. But they forgot about that interest when it came to doing a commandment of God. It made no sense whatsoever. But that's the essence of what the Jewish people are. It makes no sense. The Jewish people says God has elevated us above all tongue. There's no tongue that can possibly express what a Jewish person is, just like no tongue can possibly express what really God is. But somehow or other, these two mysteries, the Jewish people and God and the commandments, are all joined together. And when they come together, it's a wonderful wedding that's really not just above life, but it's the source of all life in the world. That's the essence of what a Jew is.
Moment of Wisdom, sub-brief and life-changing moments. Join us. Subscribe to Moment of Wisdom channels on YouTube, Telegram, Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp.